On June 20th, 2024, we have a solstice ingress, and meaning that the sun moves into the sign of Cancer at 0 degrees. And this becomes a forecast chart for the entire summer. Indeed, all the way through to September 22nd, when we have the fall equinox. And I want to talk about how this opportunity rich transformation and non ordinary magical energy, particularly in this chart, will impact you over the course of the next few months. Indeed, those 3 months from the all the all-knowing, all-seeing eye of the Cancer ingress of the sun, which is the summer solstice, guys, all the way through to September 22nd. So we're doing your sign today. I want you to listen for your sun sign, moon sign, and rising. I'm going to highlight some really interesting stories. Number one, opportunity and happy endings after times of difficulty are available on this particular next 3 month story, but also a deep sense of maybe an ability to like channel, archangels or get in touch with non-ordinary reality or reality shift or interdimensional portals or to bend a time. We'll talk about a little time bending in our next 3 months individually as well as collectively. The other thing I want to talk about as I address the solstice itself is that, remember, it's like a forecast chart. On the day that the sun moves into 0 Aries, 0 Capricorn, 0 Libra, or 0 Aries, these are seasonal points in our lives, right? These is the summer and winter solstice and the spring and the vernal/spring equinox or the fall equinox. And these are forecast charts in the ancient world of what will happen over those quarters of time, but also from the Aries one, the entirety of the year. So what I would say to us today is keep this in mind. It's sort of a snapshot of the sky that gives us a archetypal mandala to read, like tea leaves in the bottom of a cup. You would read those tea leaves and you would go, oh my gosh, this is what's coming up for you based on the pattern in the tea leaves. That same thing. We're looking at the pattern of the sky and we're making assumptions about the world and assumptions about you. I hope this mic isn't too close to me. So I'm traveling, I'm working on portable content. Right now I'm in Portugal on June 17th, the day I'm recording this, early access ad-free content for my Patreon community. If you're new to my channel, hey guys, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac, the whole sign house system. I love fixed stars and minor asteroids, so we'll be talking today about Minerva, the asteroid of wisdom and knowledge and strategy, is conjunct this ingress point of this solstice. And we also have Venus conjunct the sun as the sun enters into this place. And it's an interesting sky for its benefic qualities, but it also has some difficulty. We'll be talking about that Sagittarius 15-degree moon. I'm going to show you the sky. Before we do that, don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This video should be no longer than 1 hour and 15 minutes long if you're trying to plan for time. And timestamps in the pinned to the top of the box of the description of the comments box. Plus, if you click the title of this video, it'll get you into what's called chapters, and you can jump ahead for your sign. But I encourage you to listen for the first 10 minutes because I want to talk about the overview so that you understand, as we do your sign, a little bit more about the backdrop and what you're going into and what you might be experiencing at a big picture before we individualize it. So let me show you the sky, and you guys are propped on pillows, and I'm doing my best not to jiggle the screen. And let's go through this together. So this is the ingress chart, and it just happens to have a Libra rising because it's set for Vancouver, Canada, around 1:57 or 1:58 in the afternoon, Pacific Daily Time. And this is what the horizon line will be. If you live in Vancouver, the sky will show a Libra rising, and in the eastern horizon line. And so therefore, every place in the world will have a different ascendant for the time of the rising sign, but the entire, LA, the entire Pacific coast of North America kind of thing. US, Canada will have Libra rising. So first of all, number one, here's the sun at 0 degrees and 00 minutes, conjunct the asteroid Absolus. Absolus was a prophet or a seer who could predict a war that was going to emerge between his people, the centaurs, and the race of the Lapis. So we're talking about intuitive seership ability. And I do feel in many ways each of us will be able to pierce the veil and see below the surface of elements connected to our Cancer whole sign house in our natal sky. For you Libra risings, it's going to be about piercing the veil and seeing through what is not normally understood by you about career and purpose matters in your life. 10th house matters. But with Venus here holding fort, she is a benefic planet and qualitatively still quite invisible in the sky until later in July. So she's more of her sorceress, magician, magical side of her character. And therefore, we also have that enchantment energy as well. And Mercury, the messenger, is here. He's not visible in the sky quite yet. I believe he will be visible closer to the 21st, 22nd, but he's just going to come into what's called phasis, or his visible rise as an evening version of himself. So he's getting ready to come into visibility, and that bodes well for this ingress for all of us because he's just about to show his face to us in the sky. You know, it's an interesting solstice chart when we look at the fact that the moon itself is going to become a Capricorn full moon the day after the solstice ingress, as the moon moves on the 21st into the sign of Capricorn and her detriment. And so this makes this a balsamic moon, an old moon, a wise moon, the ghost whisperer, the psychic, the medium, the mystic, the pilgrim. It's kind of like the Halloweeny moon. You see, a balsamic moon is old. It's the old soul if you're born with one, and you're tired of the game of life. You've kind of given it up. You know, you're like, you know, it's a matrix, you know, it's a simulation or something like that. You've been around the block. You've had fame, riches, and glory in other lives, let's say, and now you're ready to kind of retire out. And so, because this is a kind of moon that's very old, it's also very concerned usually with humanity. It's a little bit like the hermit or the shepherd archetype as well. And so, this is a very energetic place for that moon to be in the sign of Sagittarius on the Great Attractor. Now, the Great Attractor is a swath of cosmic real estate where there's like almost like a black hole. No one knows, I think, what it exactly is, but it sucks galaxies into it and it bends light. And if it bends light, it's also distorting time. And so the Great Attractor is also baked in for the next 3 months. Yes, you know, all through the summer, guys, June, July, August into mid-September, we've got this energy of a lunation that's ancient and old and wise on the Great Attractor for the world. Yet, and in your own lives, your Sagittarius part of your sky will have some kind of time bending, light bending potential in your own narrative. And even though that is necessarily a positive thing, I will point out that that moon is also in a square to Saturn and the asteroid Nessus, which is about revenge. Now, in your own life, there's no revenge going on. I don't think that's going to really be the story, but because the moon is also square to Juno, the goddess of agreements, alliances, and partnerships, we're going to see in the world at large fracturing of partnerships and trade alliances and global political alliances. Just say it, Laurie, it's happening. And some of it will feel like it's because of hardship in water and near water, at water, by water, Saturn in the sign of Pisces, but also Nessus, a story of revenge and betrayal. So all of those are in play in the world. It's a sadder story. And you could even say with Sagittarius, airplanes, missiles, you know, drones, etc., hardship through things that are flying projectiles, which is an arrow, which is Sagittarius, or flying objects that travel in the air, which are airplanes. Look for some airplane problems. We know Boeing's had a series of them, air travel delays or serious problems in the next 3 months. And well, I'm not wishing this. I would be a little wary of airplanes and ocean liner. Oh, airplanes over oceans falling from the sky. I will just say that a very strong possibility. What this is showing us is some of that going on. Hopefully not from war, hopefully from some more malfunction or pilot error, but potentially with this sky from war as well. We're going to do your sign, I promise. I'd just like you to get the big picture first. One of the other elements going on in the sky separate from this, but not without meaning, is Sedna in a beautiful sextile to the Vestal flame of devotion. I will do a separate video on Sedna. It's too important not to. But since 1966, Sedna was in Taurus. And in late April, Sedna, this very slow-moving body like Pluto, entered into the sign of Gemini. Sedna will be there, female energy, until 2067. And I think it's going to be a lot to do with new communications technology, Gemini, new ideas, new scientific breakthroughs, but also artificial intelligence in that ongoing trine to Pluto in Aquarius. So because that's a really big topic, I will separate that out for another video. But the energy is this ingress is flanked by this transformational abandonment betrayal story as well. You see, where in our lives do we abandon ourselves? And the question will be, how can we not do that in the next 3 months in the Gemini part of our sky in order to hold up a sacred flame of devotion to something that matters in the Leo part of our sky? Now, the last thing I want to say, the moon is always very important in an ingress chart because it's the most sensitive point of the sky. It's what kind of moon is it? It's a balsamic moon. What sign? It's a fire moon in Sagittarius. But it's also a moon that is on the ascendant, the 12-degree Sagittarius ascendant of the United States of America. What does that mean? The United States of America is going to feature prominently in the collective psyche and the stories of the world in a very important way, but it's difficult. Fracturing of vows, agreements, and alliances square Juno, squaring Saturn hardships with water in water areas to do with water, with Nessus, that betrayal and revenge energy. So there's a lot of challenge in the United States for sure. I'm sorry for all my US followers. There's so many of you, but it looks really hard for the United States as a whole, and maybe to do with things to do with the air and air travel or air events through to September 22nd. Also, Joe Biden has his ascendant at 3 degrees of Sagittarius. He's not right on that moon, but he's in the whole sign, same house as the moon. And that gives Joe Biden challenges as well. And very possibly, I'd say there's an 80% chance, not just from this chart, but many others, that Joe Biden will be having to step away from his incumbent candidacy by the end of the month of June, but even into early July at the latest. I know it sounds like a last minute bait and switch. When Lyndon Johnson stepped out of his incumbency in 1969, and he was running eventually against Nixon, but he stepped away before that. I think it was, yeah. Anyway, he stepped away because he was so low in the polls because of the Vietnam War. And Joe Biden is in a similar 37% approval rating because of the war situation in which he's involved with the Middle East. And so, plus his cognitive decline is getting headlines lately, including a Wall Street Journal article on June the 4th, an expose. So honestly, at this juncture, it looks like Joe Biden, who keeps freezing at public events, is going to be asked to step down, and some other Democrat candidate will step in. And that sky does not support anything more. I mean, this ingress chart looks very similar. Now, remember I mentioned wisdom and knowledge Minerva. She's tracking here in Gemini behind the sun, but she's still in orb of the sun, although in a different sign. It's like the sun was getting infused with wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and then it decided to apply liberally to the Cancer part of the sky. So keep that in mind too. Lastly, I would say this. What about the Prime Minister of Israel and what's going on in his world? Netanyahou. I know we're doing your sign. Netanyahou is a 13-degree Sagittarius rising. Don't forget, US is 12 in the Sibley chart, Sag rising. Interestingly, basically, the energy of Biden, Netanyahu, and USA's natal chart are all very much going through similar travails and challenges. And this is also putting a focus point straight on like a bullseye arrow of Sagittarius. Don't forget, Sag is like the bullseye, the arrow, the dartboard. I hope this mic is not giving you a lot of bad sound because I don't have a way to put it on a stand. So I'm holding it. Let me try the pillow. No. And so I have varied a distance from my mouth. Sorry, guys. So anyway, the long story short to me is this is really even the hardest for the leader of Israel. I think this will end up looking like some kind of real challenges in his leadership. And with Nessus, the revenge asteroid here, although I would never want to predict a ASSINATION. Don't want to trip the algorithm. That's a possibility here coming through to September. But if not, then it just means a lot of turbulence and hardship for him personally in his role in the government, because the opposing party or people who would oust him from his particular role are coming from the 12th house. I mean, the 12th house, from the Virgo corridor of the sky. That's the opposing party to those who are, who could topple his right-wing government in his own country. And the square from the revenge place is right for him in the place of leadership and governance and career itself. And he's got a lot of tension with that Saturn and, of course, Neptune and Nessus. So we'll see what happens between now and September 22nd. All right, so let's get rolling and talk about your sign. And I'm going to really focus here a lot on how it looks like you could come into a time of greater and more profound and deep connection to opportunity. Why do I say opportunity? I say opportunity because Ops is here, and the moon, being one of the most pivotal points of any solar ingress chart, is in a really beautiful and perfect flow to happy endings after times of travail and difficulty. Ops. So how are you likely to find yourself coming in through the summer into this, the third week of September, into seeing like you found some kind of relief, some kind of happy ending after some time of great travail or challenge? And this is also energies of compassion and unconditional love. This is a wife of Saturn, and it's also just simply Ops as an opportunity. So we're going to focus on the simple Sagittarius Aquarian zone of your sky as we look at your rising sign, sun and moon. If you're listening for this rising sign, think of it about your character, think of it as your character, your avatar in the game of life, and think about the sun as your soul, or the one who plays the avatar's role on the game board. But it's also the sun, your career purpose and your vitality and your father figures, whereas your moon is your mother figures, home, nest, safety, and the body. Okay. And also often how you feel and think about your life. It's kind of like as you mesh yourself into the character in a simulation and become attached to the role, attached to the character, it engages your mind and emotions in the simulation. So that's my best way of trying to understand it. So hopefully it makes sense for you as well. So I listen to all three when I listen to my own astrology. I encourage you to do the same. Okay. So listen for all three: sun, moon, and rising. And then some people will say their sun is always more accurate for them. Well, maybe you're living from your soul. Maybe you're now living in alignment with the deepest essential nature of who you are. And if it's mostly your rising sign that fits for you, maybe you're still a little bit like locked and loaded in the character that you've signed up for in the screenplay or in the movie or in the simulation. And you're just doing the lines that you've been given, and you're not telling the director you need to rewrite them, or, you want to tinker with the script. Those are thoughts. I don't know. What do you guys think? In the comments below, tell me, do you find it's your sun, moon, or rising that is most accurate for you over time as you investigate this idea? All right, so don't forget, this is general bell curve astrology. This is not a personal reading. This will not give you exactly what will happen for you. And even a personal reading with a gifted astrologer or psychic can't be perfect, because you have free choice, free agency, and free will. You are a fluid aspect of the nature of God. You are like a spark of light, and you have a lot of go with the flow, whether you're aware of it or not, a lot of ad-libbing your lines, a lot of shift that happens in life. And so no one's going to get anything perfectly right for you. Never think astrologers or psychics or tarot card readers can tell you everything. They can tell you general trend lines of what is possible. And we're going to start with the Aries, sun, moon, and rising. So let me cue us for Aries. I'm going to no, I won't simplify the sky. I think you guys can handle it. And I'm teaching my Sky Reader class in September. I hope you guys will jump aboard and take the 6-week course with me. It'll be my 5th time teaching it. It's live. You get to keep the content forever. If you miss the classes, it's in your teaching platform where you're always going to have evergreen forever access to the content. So if you get behind, no worries. I'll have an assistant helping me manage you guys, like, take your questions in the live classes, watch your comments, and also check some homework if you want to put your homework on my Facebook group for the class and have someone look over some of your investigations of your chart. That class is helping you time your best life using astrology, and it's for you. It's not to become a professional astrologer. It's good for intermediate as well. If you're, depends, I'd say, because we're learning some timing tools. It's good for advanced beginner to newly intermediate levels of learning. Alrighty. And by advanced beginner, I mean, you know what a planet is, you know what the signs are, you know the basics of astrology. If you don't know anything about astrology, I do an intro class on that at the beginning and all of that, which is fine, sort of like a boot camp version, but you need to like kind of at least have some lay of the land. It's like if you've never heard the language French and you're going to take a French class, straight up, you might want to, do some background research first. All right, Aries, 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 sun, moon, and rising sign. So I have a moon and a sun here, and so I can relate. This is an ingress chart that shows that we're like every year, doing something to reset our buttons in our fourth house. And our fourth house is home, property, land, real estate, nest, and safety. It's the way we live our lives in our domicile, in our privacy and domestic life. And I love that Venus is here for the most part. And just trust me, the sun really is supposed to be a day. I'll just put it a day later, but it's tricky because, the sun's moving quickly. So we're looking at June 20th. Please ignore this on the side. So on June the 20th, we see this chart suggesting baking in Venus and Mercury into our fourth house. Venus and Mercury in our fourth house are good for our property, home, nest, enjoyment of our nest, sanctuary in the home, blessings in the home, love in the home, beauty in the home, cozy and cocoony Cancerian energy being, which it always is, right? All Aries have this placement in their fourth house, but Venus is locking and loading in a nice tight conjunction to the sun. And Mercury says maybe a lot of writing, communicating, ideating, thinking, and socializing in and from your home. You're enjoying your home life, Aries. This is a wonderful summer for you into September of 2020, 22nd, 2023. 2024. There is some tension here. I mentioned it already, and with that moon squaring Juno and the moon squaring Saturn, and all said and done, the moon from 9, 6, and 12 is suggesting some deep karmic bonds and ties are breaking. Debts are being dealt up, karmic and real. And you might have some major changes in alliances and agreements you've made regarding rental situations, rental properties, or also things to do with job and work situations as well. Those things are gritty, but change brings growth. And so those changes are coming from a wise balsamic moon who knows what's best for you, because she's like the wise old lady in the woods who's giving you great crystal ball guidance. And then we go to, where is that great attractor? It's up there in your ninth house. You are somebody who's pulling God's wisdom into your world. You are bending time and attracting the wisdom of foresight and insight from a metacosmos ninth house place, which is the divine impulse. It is the house of God. A lot of Aries are really leaning into that. Now, on a less esoteric level, you're also leaning into major endings and completions regarding things to do with purpose of life, meaning of life. A lot of you are having a reassessment of the meaning of your life and what you really want and what matters to you, because of this wise old moon on the great attractor in the ninth house of God and Dharma and purpose. And then I would say, what about the fact that Ops is here in a sextile to the sun? How wonderful is that? You have some opportunity coming through this sky to find something positive or a relief or a complete happy ending after a time of travail in your 11th house of career gains, in your 11th house of social groups and friends, in your 11th house of long range goals and plans for your life. Therefore, this is a place where things are like a pineapple goddess, full of fertility and fruitfulness. It's like a green thumb too. You're growing new things here. There are new opportunities. I'd say a lot of you have some new financial opportunities up there as well regarding work and career, but in collaboration perhaps with others. And with Mars in your second house, some of you are changing the way you make and earn and resource financial well-being in your life. If you've had any difficulties with an elder sibling or a friend, happy endings after times of difficulty here are available to you. And it may also involve the wisdom of that moon in the house of God that says these kinds of shifts in the 11th house of good spirit happen because you're tuned into the God signal. You're getting the divine signal strong and clear, just like on a radio station, tuned to the perfect dial place. It's a nice, clean signal from the house of God, helping you align your hopes, dreams, and wishes for your life, new ways of gaining and earning money from your career, alliances with friends, and happy endings after times of difficulty in that area of your reality. And last, I would just remind you, in general, that moon does flow to you. It is a lunation that is in a trine to your Aries sun, moon, and rising, and that therefore it does feel to you like there's a lot of goodness coming off of this, even though it may require you to take a time out or a rest of some sort. And that's because this is a moon that is old and tired and getting ready to retire out. So it's a very restful energy, a very inward and spiritual energy. Now I'm having a door banging here, so I'm going to close it more tightly because I'm a la carting here. Give me a minute so that it doesn't start banging all the way through. Let's go on to Taurus sun, moon, and rising sign. Taurus sun, moon, and rising sign. So guys, hey, the Ingress chart this year, every time the summer solstice happens to occur, you're starting some new storylines to do with your third house of travel, skills-based education, neighbors and neighborhood, siblings, extended family, and the daily life that you do your daily stuff in. The shops and restaurants you go to, the everyday life of your going to and fro. And I would say to you that for the most part, this could feel very sort of like Venus there and Mercury. You're going to engage in a very beautiful summer of social time in the local neighborhood, in the area that you live, around with people that you want to have fun with. This is okay, I'm going to call it the summer of fun, Taurus. You're having a good time, having fun. Venus and Mercury both are about pleasure, desire, and Mercury, fun and sociability and communications. And I get the idea here that as the summer progresses, more and more fun happens, okay? Because Venus will be visible coming up this July. If you want to travel this summer into September 22nd, this will bring pleasurable and safe and enjoyable travel. So travel is on the menu, especially short distance travel, not going off to Siberia, but maybe within your own country or in your own state or in your own province. But I do see some travel here. And then I also would note that you can note some tension, right, between that moon squaring Juno, and that could lead to, and Saturn, some really difficult, gritty moments in the summer from a place of finances that you share with others, your eighth house, and unearned income, chunky money, and matters to do with your children if you have them, or your lover, Juno in the fifth, as well as squaring Saturn in the 11th. And those are your other groups of belonging, friendships, social circles. And so even though you're having a good time, there is some other tension going on. But I want to bring my a note to file here. If there's some kind of partnerships you've made in the fifth house, and that can be entrepreneurial, that can be agreements and partnerships with people like a child, for example, there may be some fractures. You may unwind them. That moon is wise but old in your eighth house, and the eighth house is a deep psychological terrain, has to do with your inner subconscious, unconscious mind, archetypal psychology, and also secrets. And it would be possible here to see some spillage of secrets causing tension with friends and or children or love partners coming through the summer into the fall, into September 22nd, 3 months. Now, the old wise balsamic moon in your eighth house is an incredibly powerful energy for soul work or moksha or spiritual liberation. And it does flow to Chiron and the North Node in the 12th house of enlightenment-y stories and spiritual full nirvana. So some of you might be moving through a time of spiritual enlivenment. And an old wise moon in your eighth house can also bring you some money. It can do that. And we'll talk about where that can come from. So the in eighth house can be inheritance money, and this is like an old moon. So it would be an old person that could bequeath you money, or the idea of the inheritance or the gifts from someone else's resources is not a surprise. It's a story you're quite aware of. And then this moon is in a flow to ops as well, and ops is going to say something like, where have you been in a time of difficulty, challenge, and hardship? And it's coming to a happy ending in your career, your reputation, and work area. That moon flowing to ops in your 10th house is going to indicate a breakthrough in the financial area of your life, perhaps connected to your work. And also father figures and financial breakthroughs are possible. Now, there are no predictions here in a general way for all Tauruses to lose a father or something. That would be ridiculous. But I just want to bring up the possibility of some money coming through a 10th house figure, which is an authority figure or father figure between now and September 22nd. The Great Attractor is in your 8th house. It always is. This is your time bending, fortune telling, seership energy. Don't forget, we also see the seer absolute on the sun as the ingress happens. I will continue to reinforce the energy of more synchronicity, more non-ordinary reality perception for the world. But this is going to be very good for you because your 8th house seership is I talk to dead people. It's also things to do with, interdimensional beings that are not in physical form. And if you are any of you have a calling in that area, this is going to increase your natural ability in that part of the chart that represents those occult skills and mysteries. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Well, hey, the solar ingress is always every year in the summer in your 2nd house of your resources financially, and also the kinds of foods and substances you ingest. Now, Venus here blesses this a financial time for you. June, July, August into the 3rd week of September, there's blessings in the finances. Resources should be good. There may be a delay with Venus not visible until July, so don't get all tied up in knots, but it looks like a lush up in your finances, and Mercury allows for you to buy, sell, communicate, market, and sell as well. So there's a very positive, and it could be a great improvement in your physical face and appearance, but also having what you desire. What do you want in life? In terms of there's so many layers to the 2nd house. It's your voice, but it's also your call. You hear the call, the calling, the vocari, the voice. So you're looking at what you really desire in your deeper layer of your being and what we would call a calling. And also you're potentially here beautifying your physical appearance. Venus here just sort of bakes it in. She's not always with the sun on an ingress. She could be a sign away. Physically appearing more facially beautiful for a lot of you and more vocally persuasive and charismatic than you normally are. The moon, which is old and wise and balsamic in your Sagittarius 7th house, can mean that there is a significant business partnership, client audience relationship, or love partnership that's either looking for spiritual wisdom and depth, or that is coming into a very tired and older place. And old and tired and ending energies of a balsamic moon don't mean completion necessarily. It means that it's a zone, right? It's a zone of mystery and magic and spiritual attainment of a balsamic moon for that relationship itself between now and September 22nd. The moon does, however, square Juno in the 4th house, and any agreements around domestic arrangements, where you live, who you live with, situations to do with property and land. There may be some tension there this summer through to September 22nd. And the square, of course, to Saturn in the 10th house looks like tension either from a significant relationship partner or a business partner, two things that you're doing in your career space. And maybe it's simply that there's tension between a significant business and love partner and your obligations and commitments in home, close to home, and to your career. When I look at the opportunity that's happening with ops in your 9th house, and the bending of the light and the Great Attractor vortex in your 7th house is activated. Now, that Great Attractor may not be about you. Maybe the moon here is representing a significant spiritually a wise relationship that's going into a time of transformation or death and rebirth. And the Great Attractor is warping and bending the quality of that relationship in love and business, etc. I would ask you to think that you might have a kind of a turning point in a relationship when you have a moon that old on such a powerful place, but it doesn't necessarily indicate an ending. Now, don't forget, it shows 23 degrees, but truly the moon is going to be around 15 degrees. So keep that in mind. It does flow to the south node in the house of romantic and sexual love. There can be some surrender in the quality of the relationship romantically in order for something spiritual to emerge, for example. Now, the opportunity is in the ninth house. Opportunity is beckoning, happy endings after times of difficulty when it comes to the following meanings: things to do with your spiritual beliefs and faith, your connection to God, your connection to a meaningful life, your connection to following a meaningful dharmic path, your connection to higher education and visas and courts and foreign lands and book publishing are all nature of the ninth house matters. And so, therefore, those things are having opportunity opening up for you and thrival and good things happening throughout this summer until the third week of September 2022, 4. So I'm on the other end of COVID, as a lot of you know, so bear with me because my brain is a little foggy still. Now, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Every year you get to be, as all of the cardinal signs, Aries, Capricorn, and Libra, the star of the Ingress Sun stories. And here it's all about how you love yourself and you can communicate and think and come up with ideas all through to September 22nd this year. And you have seership. Look, Absolus, the psychic seer centaur who could see the future, right? Foretell the future, is embedding into your essence, your nature, your quality of your sun, moon, and rising, especially for you rising sign folk. So you'll be able to use that kind of ability, that foresight, that intuition about what's going to happen next a little bit more than you normally do this summer. So you can lean on it, you can rely on it. And the moon is old and wise and balsamic in your sixth house, and she is on the Great Attractor at the time of the ingress. So where is this kind of light bending, time bending, energetic, old wise moon wanting to come to some sort of completion and ending regarding maybe a work matter, regarding a situation with a pet, a situation with a karmic debt or a real life financial debt? And if there is any of those things that need to be completed or rounded up or finished up, I'm feeling good about it. I'm going to jump ahead to ops. She's in the mortgages and bank loans and refinancing house here, your eighth house, and investments and stuff like that. So you've got a little bit of a green thumb here. You can grow your investments. Be careful, the stock market's about to crash, but you personally have a bit of an option to thrive in times of difficulty. And you might be the one who, manages to pull out good shorts in the stock market. But whatever you're doing, you're basically somebody who's having some financial thrival with the money you share with a spouse, with the money you get from inheritances, your investments, or your banking, refinancing, mortgages, credit card loans and debts. All that kind of stuff looks really good for you this summer through to September 22nd, as happy endings and thrival and opportunity are emerging for you in that eighth house of shared resources, chunky money, etc., including inheritances. Any problems with your health that you've been dealing with are coming to a completion, a wisdom ending, a closure with this kind of old moon and time bending moon. Use non-ordinary means. Don't just go, oh, I'm going to take, my iron pills because I got a little anemia. Like, use your deeper part of you to go under the surface and look at the sort of like John of God, Lords, here goes my cane. I just walk a walk. I can walk, Hallelujah, I can walk again. There's something here that you can use non-ordinary, magical, enchantment, wisdom, spiritual, mysterious energies, the moon, the vortex of the Great Attractor, to transform health matters and improve them. You're also transforming your work. A lot of you getting ready to step away from a part of your work that no longer serves you. Not the whole thing, maybe a different job, a different office, different coworker, colleague space, something like that. And there's tension. The moon is going to square, of course, I mentioned in the beginning, I hope you listen. It's going to square Juno. Where would you have some fracture of agreements or some contractual vows that you might have to change up regarding agreements with neighbors, neighborhood people, childhood friends, siblings? There's some changes there, some tension, and maybe some changes or grit regarding your spiritual philosophy or travel, some tension with travel plans not going as expected, and some breaking of agreements regarding short or long distance travel coming up for you June, July, and August into the third week of September. Okay, let's keep going. Hey Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is an ingress chart that tells us that you've got this very sort of psychic seer lapith and lapith energy in your 12th house. And so this is already a very intuitive house full of like your dreams at night, your meditations. Lean into that. You're able to really go for it in terms of diving into your karmic past life soul work stuff and reducing any self-sabotaging, self-harming patterns because of Venus allowing you to find what you desire and let it be healing rather than harming you. And Mercury here, who's visible the day after this, allows for you to have deep insights, deep dream insights, deep ideas coming from deep within your soul that allows for some greater healing. It's also good for long distance money making endeavors from foreign countries and borderless income. What I would note here is that you do want to look at the moon that is in your wise old balsamic moon on the Great Attractor in your 5th house, indicating some changes in love and sexual romantic relationships coming to completion or transformation. And there's a time-bending vortex in this part of the sky. Similarly, things to do with children and your children in particular, and creative projects, as well as entrepreneurial endeavors, are all in a vortex of completion, endings, change, or maybe the sense of seeking the deeper wisdom in those situations and relationships. Because if you've been having trouble in a long-term committed love story, a marriage, a long-term partnership, I think thrival and happiness after times of difficulty, unconditionally loving ops in the marriage house itself, connected to this old moon in the house of romance, can bode well for some either healing endings, or renewal of the relationship on more deeply soulful terms. And finally, we would note that you could have some good things happening for your long-term committed love partner with ops here, or opportunities emerging through to the 3rd week of September that are very positive with other people, bringing those opportunities to you directly that allow for some good things to show up in your life. Ops is also in a square, of course, to Juno. Not ops. The moon is also in a square to Juno. So look for this also to be a summer in which you're making some breakages or cleavages in work and money stories. It looks very obvious to me with Mars up here and Juno anyway, that a lot of you are going to kind of break away or change up your work situation. And this is why this Mars is at the top of the sky, but this ingress chart, the sun, the old moon is squaring the goddess of agreements and vows in the house of financial resources. Often that can look like an ending or a fracture in a way in which you are increasing your financial safety, including work and job and career matters. And there's a square, of course, from that moon to Saturn up in the 8th house. Again, it's another money axis. So definitely seeing some financial challenges coming through, but if you have a balsamic moon, bending time and space in your 5th house, manifest. Do your manifestation work. Don't think about what you don't want. Think about what you do want. And really focus on what's possible. And don't look at what's missing, right? Because that moon in the 5th house has the capability to really harness the co-creative energies that 5th house can involve. Procreation, creation, and co-creation with the divine. So look at that lunation as a powerhouse, wise moon, capable of lifting you out of your own challenges with your own inner light of awareness of what you want to create in your life. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Here we have the ingress chart showing a lot of good things happening in your 11th house. I think a lot of you guys are going to find that you love your larger groups of belonging and social events are on the horizon. It could be a summer in which you spend a lot of time in group events, larger social groups. Also, some increase in your finances from your career with Venus, Sun, Mercury in that 11th house of good spirit. So it can be a financially positive time. You might get a new job, you increase your range of success. Jupiter in the 10th brings you luck in career matters through till next year. And you'll be very excited, proud, and happy with some of the dreams and goals you had coming to pass, the 11th house, especially when it comes to ambition, success, and career matters. With the energy of the moon being old and wise and on the vortex of the Great Attractor at the time in your 4th house, this balsamic moon is saying there's some endings to do with where you live. Most likely, some of you by September 22nd may be changing your home and nest, or things in your home are changing significantly, but engendered within that change is wisdom and sagacity of the sage-like old moon, and you're bending time and space to create miracles. I believe in miracles regarding home, nest, home life, and domestic issues. Opportunities beckoning when it comes to work. This is your job, employment, employer stories, as well as rental contracts and agreements for property, whether you're the landlord or the leasee. That's like, I believe in miracles, opportunity, thrival, growth, and goodness, as well as happiness after times of difficulty. The work environment is particularly lush with that ops in your sixth house. And that ops says flow, of course, to Jupiter in your 10th. So, really golden opportunities for some of you in career and work situations. It's a good summer, June, July, August into September, to apply for work, to change your job, to get a raise, to increase your financial success, or to hire your perfect employee or find your perfect tenant as a landlord. And the tension, of course, from the moon to your seventh house can show tension with a client or your main love partner is going through a difficult time, and you may have some tension in that love story. And also, you've got Juno who says, should I be in a relationship here? Stay or go? What do I really want? Am I hanging in there too long? Like good old wife of Jupiter. And so, those questions about what you want in a relationship and what you want in your life, in your domestic environment, is important to you this summer through to September 22nd. There is some tension there between you, a significant person in your life, business or love. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks to me like what's happening is you're going to see yourself moving into a time of very positive energy. And that positive energy is coming off of this Venus infused 10th house of career and reputation, new beginnings, using a kind of psychic seer like ability to get exactly what you need and want. And Mercury becoming visible shortly after, you're able to communicate, negotiate, deal, market, and sell your way to a great career success story. And this is good for career changes if needed, because that's a lot of love in the top of the sky for you. At the same time, the moon is old and wise on a great attractor vortex, that balsamic energy is wisdom and sagacity around writing projects, websites, neighbors and neighborhoods, sibling relationships, travel short distances, and learning and teaching opportunities. But there's closure or endings possible when we see a kind of moon this old, a balsamic moon. And so looking for where you might want to tie up loose ends in those relationships or in those situations of the third house. It could indicate a period of quite a bit of travel, however, just because it is Sagittarius and that moon means travel for wise reasons, right? Traveling for, workshops or learning or education or things to do with knowledge or wisdom. You do have a lot of opportunity, and that's the happy news coming through your very creative, procreative, and co-creative fifth house. Writing projects, creative projects, art projects, entrepreneurial projects. The muse is speaking. Opportunities for fun, play, pleasure, and enjoyment of life are on the increase this summer through to September 22nd. I love the ops here because it's opportunities for happy endings and romantic relationships or relationships with your children coming to a healing or a thrival as this summer progresses. The tension of that moon, however, to Saturn in the work house can mean that employee-employer situations and situations to do with debts or pets can bring some sense of heaviness or hardship for you. And you may also find you need to break away from some agreements you've made in the work axis of the chart of the sixth house, or some agreements or vows you may have made in past lives. I kid you not. This is what vows have you made from your other lives, and where are you ready to break away from the ancestral past life sort of commitments that you have made to hang in with something like a long-suffering wife, and you're going to break away from those older patterns, especially because they probably weren't good for you. They may have been patterns of self-undoing. So don't let yourself get stuck because you think you are a creature of habit. Habits are breaking for you. I will say that much. You are breaking habits. There's no two ways about it. Now, if you have an addiction, you can kibosh the addictions, and those habits are on the way out as well. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. I like this here for you. A new moon, ingress, sorry, not new moon, an ingress of the sun into your ninth house of God with Venus and Mercury. Well, let's be really practical first of all. Certainly it can indicate with Venus pleasure and fun and joy and enjoyment for long distance travel, spiritual attainment, things to do with educational success, things to do with paperworks that are financial, to do with religious or bureaucratic matters, and court and legal matters as well. Looking really good for you. Now, Venus is like very affinity wise good in the ninth house because it's in Indian astrology, Lakshmi house, which is a female deity of wealth and prosperity. So we could see some prosperity and wealth coming through father figures and positive developments there for some of you over the course of the next few months until September 22nd. With the energy of the moon being old and wise, but also bending time and space on the Great Attractor, you're bending time and space to maybe create some kind of financial resource miracles. The second house is the money you need in order to like pay your rent and stuff. And it looks like you could do yourself some real big favors here with some super glow up in that kind of financial situation. The moon is ending though. I mean, it's completing, it's getting ready to turn dark, and you may be looking at winding down and completing some financial stories, and maybe the way you make money, including the type of job, can be changing. Because even so, that moon is flowing to the north node in your work house, and expansion of work, increase of work, but also maybe changing the way the work you do is, the place of work, the type of work, the job role itself can change. The next thing I'd note here is you see, oh, I hope I'm not over, this mic isn't like, you know what I mean? Like the sound isn't horrible. I tried to sound check, but the mic keeps showing me I'm going into the zone of like too loud. Oh well. And the old moon on the vortex is flowing to opportunity in the fourth house, real estate opportunities, legacy wealth, inheritances, especially with Juno here, money from a family member, granddad, dad, mom, dad, who knows, up the line can come through. Opportunities with rental properties can be here with the north node flowing to ops, to rent a property out as a leaseholder or as a landlord, to be able to secure some financial success and prosperity regarding home and property and other people's money, including your spouses or significant others. So finances look positive here with ops. And energetically speaking, having ops here, if you've been having domestic non-bliss challenges in the home life, stress in your home, this can mean some happy endings and some thrival after times of great difficulty in the home and domestic life, because usually most of us live with somebody, not everyone does, but those tensions can be easing June, July, August, and September. A square, however, that vortex moon in a money house is squaring 5th house and 11th house matters. Tension with your romantic partner or children around finances, for example. Tension regarding friendship agreements and vows or contracts professionally. Regarding finances can also show up here. You may want to break an agreement or end a friendship. Those are possible ways this looks between now and September 22nd. And if there's anything in your 5th house that looks like artistic creativity, there is some financial tension breaking down sort of June, July, August, September regarding your artistic and creative matters and the hardships that you're dealing with, maybe a little bit on the money front, in sort of a kind of contrast to your artistic and creative stories. If you're in a love relationship, your sexual energy is being hampered a bit, or your romance is being a bit rained on with that Saturn transit. And I would say that this is going to look like a lot of focus is also taking you more towards the work and money axis in the next few months than the romance itself. And you may have some hardships or some frustrations in sexual and romantic love stories through to September the 22nd. It's not a great sky to start a brand new relationship in. Just keep that in mind. All righty, Sagittarius, it's really important because this moon is going to be in the sign of you. Let's get that moon back into the right place. The moon moves fast, right? So it's hard to keep the moon where she's supposed to be. So Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. On the 20th, we have the solar ingress into Cancer. Now, every year this happens. It's nothing new, but it's in your shared resources with a significant other, or money from inheritances and investments and banks and loans and credit cards, unearned income, particularly shared resources, other people's money. And those monies are looking better than they usually do because Venus is here, conjunct the ingress. And use your sort of seer like lapis psychic abilities to make some decisions regarding property matters, especially. Saturn, in your fourth house is in a whole sign flow to that ingress. And this is not a bad time for Sagittarius is to look at financial matters on the domestic front, whether it's about furniture, repainting, what you need to do in a conservative, cautious way, or even a financial refinancing, shifting something as well. So money and home matters are significant for you through to September 22nd. Now, this is a ingress that has the moon as a balsamic wise old lady. She's sitting on the galactic center in your first house. Your own time bending intuitive sage-like abilities are incredibly strong. June, July, August to September 22nd, you're a walking sage-like time-bending, peering into the future type entity. You can use this kind of non-ordinary miracle-making stories power for sure. The moon does square Juno, and some of you may be tempted to break away from a publicly recognized long-term committed love or business relationship. And there may be some changes in your reputation that feel difficult regarding those longer-term commitments to that work, to that person, to that situation. But also with Saturn in the fourth house square, that old wise moon, and you've got what you need to make wise decisions. You're also breaking away from what has been some loneliness, hardship, or dissatisfaction or disappointment, heavy energies in your home. So there's some breaking away in the home energies and the career purpose energies as well. But because you carry the energy of the vortex of the great attractor with this incredibly wise old balsamic moon, I think that looks good on you. Now, interestingly, the other thing to say about this is that you have opportunity for thrival and growth and happy endings in third house matters. Any sibling relationship challenges can be healed and revealed and fixed. Any challenges with your neighbors or neighborhood on the mend. Happiness and happy endings around travel issues and relationships to your extended family as well. Cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews all kind of get a glow up for you. If you have something to do with skills-based learning, you want to take a class, that's going to look good. Build a website, third house, upgrade your social media preferences or presence, all looking good through to September 22nd. Often when I see a thrival energy in the third house, it's just thriving in your daily life. Ops is like a green thumb. Things are going well in the local neighborhood with the places and people and things you see on the daily. Your fishbowl in which you swim is thriving. It looks really nice. It looks like you're enjoying your local life. And for all Sages, just one note to file. I mean, Jupiter is in your seventh house till the end of June 9th next year. And in essence, your partner's beginning to thrive. If you have a long-term love partner, this blesses them to do really well in life. And I'm only bringing that up because Ops is also generally positively indicating here a flow to your partnership house, indicating some positive developments in the life of your partner, if you have one. Oh, sorry, guys, I went by day. Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. So in essence, you're the kind of person, solid, stable, reliable, practical, mirthful, that every year you have to deal with this, right? It's across the way from you. The solar ingress, the seasonal axis point, turning point in the house of other people. So it's not really your story this time around. That happens for you at the winter solstice, at Christmas time when we have that energy in Capricorn. So instead, it's what is your business partner, love partner, or client audience, or some significant person in your life up to? Well, they're being blessed. Venus is here close to that sun, and that means they're going to have luck and they're going to have good things happen and they're going to feel positive about life, and they may get their desires met. And Mercury's just about to come into phosis or visibility in the evening sky the day afterwards, and it indicates a sense of new levels of positive communication, thrival, commercial success, social success for someone that you're involved with in a long-term committed way, or who's very significant in your life. Usually these are our committed love stories, our monogamous people, our business partners if we have them, and just a very important critical long-term friendship even can count here. So look for those other people to get the blessings of this for them, really. But if you're somebody who sells or markets stuff in the world, this is a little bit like having the madmen and energy. So you can really be good at putting stuff out into your seventh house, which is 10th from the 10th, which is your marketplace. And so your marketplace is in a state of thrival. We also would note that the moon, which is the temple lord of the Ingress, is in her sage-like balsamic great attractor in the 12th house. Well, if you're a Capricorn investigating spiritual awakening and liberation, yay, because this is that 12th house is the full nirvana, full Monty, the full destination into awakening. And it just simply indicates possibilities for spiritual breakthroughs between now and September 22nd. But you may be coming to a close of a spiritual curiosity investigation too, because the moon is old and she's about to become invisible as she becomes new in Capricorn in the sign of you the day afterward. So what are you closing up? What finishing touches are you putting on some kind of spiritual quest now through September 22nd? Because the moon will become, a full moon in the sign of you the day after the solstice. You're being asked to step up and shine brightly as a full light in the world. And so before that happens in that 12th house, you're finishing up something. And it can be also finishing up things to do with foreign countries, foreigners and foreign lands, things to do with travel to those places, things to do with commercial enterprise from foreign places, but also deep spiritual energy as well, especially with the moon on the great attractor, and the moon being balsamic, being already a sage-like entity. Now, energetically, you could look at this as a good time for you to have opportunities financially. Between now and September 22nd, financial opportunity is on the menu. I'm encouraged very much by the thrival goddess in the money house of second house place. So looking like financial opportunity may even come from far off foreign shores and people. And it'd be something you've heard about before because the moon is old. It's nothing out of the left field. I do want to tell you that the moon is also in a square to Saturn, hardships regarding short and long distance travel, hardships in third marriages, committed love stories, agreements regarding things to do with legal matters, passports and visas, and things to do with spiritual philosophy can bring some tension in your life through to September 22nd. But for the most part, I'm looking at this as an opportunity for some financial rejuvenation, financial thrival, and financial uplift coming through to September the 22nd. A bug around me. And if you need to get a job or get some employer things going with Jupiter here as well in your 6th house, it looks good between now and the 22nd of September. Who doesn't need a job, right? We're heading into a recession or depression. Let's get a job and hold on to it. All righty. Humble opinion. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. I'm an Aquarius rising. Let's see what we got on the menu from the solar ingress, Cancer, 0 degrees. When the sun is coming into this part of the sky, it's also about our work and health, and Venus is protecting our health, and Mercury can bring good news as he rises the next day. So good news regarding work and health matters are possible, and protection now through September 22nd. And Venus here is really good for getting what you desire in your work and enjoying your work and enjoying the balance of the work and health matters that need to come into balance as well. And Venus here can also help you with debt elimination and financial debt repayments. When Venus is here as well, you might have a pet situation emerge. Some of you may want to get a pet and may indeed get a new pet between now and September 22nd. And this is just favors good things happening for the pet you already have through to September 22nd. You can opportune thrival, growth, happy endings after times of difficulty where Ops is sitting in the chart. I always call her the pineapple goddess because she is in a sextile to the moon on the Great Attractor. Let's go into that. The Great Attractor is a vortex. It's like it can suck galaxies into it. And it's also an ancient, old, balsamic, wise old crone moon. So where is this kind of Yoda, the force is with you energy that you want to bend light and time? And how can you bend light and time and create miracles if you want in the 11th house of great gains from your career and the accomplishment and actualization of your longer range goals, plans, and wishes for your life? And in the 11th house matters to do with with groups of belonging and influence over larger groups of people. This is also a house of celebrity, and if celebrity means something to you, this moon is old and tired and is retiring out from some kind of high profile status. And that's fine with her because she's seeing thrival and opportunity in magical and miraculous time bending vortex ways to do with your identity. You are physically getting well. You are thriving. You are in a time of happy endings after travail to do with your mind, body, spirit complex of your character. If it's about your sun, it can be your Aquarian career, your moon, your home, your body, your ascendant, everything, including your body. Happy uh, pineapple goddess of thrival regarding health for sure, and the body for sure, for many Aquarians. I don't know about you, but that Pluto square Mars was hellacious on me. That's when I got COVID in Santiago. And how did you other Aquarian risings especially deal with that Pluto square Mars story, which was approximately around June the 9th to the, I don't know, my brain won't tell me, 14th or something. You were feeling that. Even before that, let's say June 7th to the 14th, a lot of Pluto square Mars energy for us Aquarians. So now we're coming into a time of harmony and restoration. Don't forget the moon is also, however, square Saturn, which is, really asking us to make some critical decisions and actions. It's gritty tension regarding our savings, our resources, our money, our possessions. And with the moon also squaring Juno, our taxes, our investments, our money we share with a significant other, those kinds of monies, unearned income, bank loans, credit cards, those are changing. I wonder with Mars for a lot of us indicating a lot of travel from home or maybe changes in and from and about the home. With that Mars in the Ingress charts in a sextile to Venus, positive changes in the home to do with work, health, and or rental properties, but also with Juno in the 8th house of mortgages, perhaps purchasing and sell of property, unexpected or surprising as well, especially with Mars getting ready to conjunct Uranus there in July, around the 15th. When it comes to things, the old wise moon is indeed square houses 8-2. So there is some breakthrough energy, but tension regarding financial stories for most of you. But with Jupiter in your house of good fortune, everything will work out. You're coming into a time of some financial luck, despite what looks on the surface level like some problems. Under all of it, beyond all of that, is some kind of benefic blessings in your finances. So short-term stress, hopefully not mental. I mean, Saturn in the second house could mean you're worried about or anxious about your financial situation, rather than there's anything really wrong with it. Okay. And then with Jupiter in your fifth house of good fortune, which is also a money luck house, I'm not too worried about our money, especially Jupiter flowing to ops. We're making our own opportunities happen to compensate for any financial challenges between now and September 22nd. So go for it. Let's go last and always least and never best and always best. Oh, my COVID brain. All right, Pisces, best and always best. You guys are looking at the ingress of the sun on the 20th of the month of June into your fifth house. And this is good for the following themes. With Venus there, pregnancy and fertility for you or your partner. With Venus there, pregnancy and fertility for your children. So this is a very fertile, pregnant, procreative, creative energy. It's really good for artistic inspiration and creativity, entrepreneurial endeavors between now and September 22nd to go lucky and swimmingly well, with the phosis rising of Mercury the next day. A lot of visible light is going to be here for communicating, writing, selling, and marketing ideas around creativity. Now, the fifth house is enjoyment, pleasure, inspiration, and fun. And it looks like you're getting a lot of that. And you may be really connecting to your children if you have any this summer, again, through to September 22nd. And your children are getting some collateral benefits here with this Venus-Mercury combination, and their lives are looking quite nice as well. Now, hang on. We want to point out that the moon, the temple lord of the lunation of the ingress, is in the career space, and she's old and she's wise and she's tired. She's crone, and she's in the energy of the great attractor. You want to complete and round out something. You're wise. You don't care about fame and fortune necessarily here between now and September 22nd. You want to bring a kind of sagacity, a kind of time bending, a kind of psychic ability, a kind of foreshadowing, foreseeing energy to really open up the potential for some miraculous new emergence, new beginnings, not just in the career and reputation, but in how you make the money from that as that moon becomes full the next day in the house of career gains and great gains from that career. And you're beginning to find new paths because there's opportunity in international borderless income and revenue, thrival, a job with a new company, a job to make money with no borders, right? Like online income, digital income, maybe. You're also breaking through some very old patterns and habits that sabotage your life and your own financial thrival, but also your thrival in your career. And these are breakthrough energies with ops here. It's really a happy ending after times of travail when it comes to some of your own sabotaging patterns and habits that have held you back from really shining a lunation energy, a moon energy into your career space. Now, this moon is not a very bright moon. It's a last crescent before it goes dark. But again, that's the witchy moon. And well, some things are closing down or getting ready to complete. New things are being investigated between the ingress of July 20th and the 22nd of September. And lastly, the tension between that moon and your first house is you are looking at this as a serious, realistic Saturnian being. You're knowing your realistic limits and you're gonna live within them, but you're also being very hard on yourself, and you may be a little too perfectionistic, and you may break some hard on yourself perfectionistic patterns involving career. And you may also have some disagreements with a long-term committed love partner or business partner. No two ways about it. That moon bakes in tension with that person through to September 22nd. But with Saturn in the first house, you've got some strength, backbone, and stamina to get through that tension with that other person. But there can be some fractures in the way you guys get along. And a lot of it has to do with your approach to your career, may be out of sync with your partner's expectations, that business or love partner. Now, this girl is going to roll. She's going out to lunch with two very lovely people that I'm staying with in a little town, a little place on the beach in Portugal. I'm ready for my lunch with my beautiful my ex-husband and his beautiful wife Milena. I'm often sharing her earrings. I'll be sharing a lot more about her new jewelry collection this summer, and so I'm looking forward to sharing some of that with you guys as well. So I'm so blessed to be able to spend time with people I've loved and still love, and to spend time with my ex-husband's current wife, who is a powerhouse of a woman. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It is June the 17th at 1:08 p.m. This is early access ad-free for my Patreon community. Find out more about my Patreon community in the description box below. Click the link, go see if you want to join. Mere $5 a month. You're going to have a couple meetings with me a month and lots of perks and lots of gifts. Ciao. Bye, everyone. Thanks to my regulars. Appreciate you guys.